What's up, guys? Another weekend, Mitten State Sports Corner. We got a big game coming up this weekend. But first, I would like to reintroduce to all of our fans out there, Brett with 2 T's.
Happy Friday, guys. Yeah, big week for Michigan football.
Is it, though?
I mean, Michigan State's coming to town. Obviously, I would say it's more for the fans than anything at this point.
They're not much to play for besides spoiler, and they're not. I mean, I think
who's
they're going
playing spoiler to who?
That's what I'm saying. I think they're going to compete for who's going to have the most turnovers this weekend.
Who was I talking to? I was talking to someone the other day, and it's going to be the team that sucks less is going to win the game.
It's I'd be shocked if Michigan has 20 passing yards at halftime, and I'm thinking they're going to combine. I predicted that earlier this week that the two teams combined are going to have 7 turnovers.
Let's go see what the over/under is for this game already.
That's my
curious.
thoughts.
I'm very curious.
The benefit to Michigan being at home, obviously, is
that's always a 3-point bump.
That's which is probably what it's going to come down to. That's helpful, but man, they're so bad on offense, and I just I don't know what to say. I really don't know what to say.
But Michigan is 5-point favorites.
Michigan.
Yeah.
I heard the line started at 7, and it's shifting towards State.
It's been going down. But also, the over-under is 39.5. That's a lot of points.
Who the hell's scoring 39.5? Is State scoring 39? Is that what you're thinking? I mean, because that's a lot of points. I mean, Jesus. We put up 7 against Illinois. 7.
Yeah.
So
we put up how many? 17 against Washington, right?
Yes, I believe so.
12 against Texas. And it's I don't know. After watching last week's horrific effort against Illinois, where coming off a bye week, you would think they would come out with stuff figured out. I mean, you got a week to kind of work some stuff out, and they came out looking worse than they have all year.
At this point, I'm not sure.
I'm not sure what the hell's going on, and we sound like a broken record at this point. Mm-hmm. That we come back every week and we're literally saying the same things of we don't know what's going on because nobody knows what's going on.
Well, again, willing to give more of the benefit of the doubt here a tad, just because again the amount of loss is tremendous and not usual. But at the same time, you got programs like Alabama, Georgia that lose 10 guys, 15 guys a year. They lose both assistant coaches. 3 or 4 assistant coaches, and they find a way to be in the top 10 or even the top 25, right? They still find a way to be in the top 25 every year. And we're not even competing for that. It's not like Michigan's like, it's not like they're, 6-1. It's like, man, that was a pretty ugly loss against Texas or something. And it's like, they're not competing for anything. They're playing spoiler alert.
At this point in the season, that's where I thought they were going to be. And boy, was I wrong. Yeah,
I think we all were. And even ourselves, I mean, when you look at this roster on paper, there's a lot of talent on this team.
Exactly. On paper, there's no way this team should be 4-3 and going 2 steps backwards every week.
Yeah, and again, you could argue that there was probably 3 losses on the schedule regardless, Texas, Oregon, Ohio State, or USC earlier in the year as we didn't know what they were full of.
Not Illinois, not Washington.
No, Washington lost as much as we did.
And then not literally I'm leaning towards it's not going to be pretty Saturday.
I don't think Michigan makes a bowl game this year.
Do
you think you want to watch them in a bowl game this year?
If they do make one, it's going to be one of the very, very low ones that are like even before Christmas.
Yeah, but you know what? They're going to be so excited to have a program like Michigan there.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to be awesome for the ratings.
I mean, any bowl is obviously going to benefit from having a name like that in their...
Yeah, but how embarrassing.
But yeah.
They're going to play in the freaking Charmin toilet paper bowl, and
the shitter bowl. Yeah,
it's just. I mean, what are they going to play? A team like UAB or something like?
Can you imagine if they got that quick lane bowl in Detroit?
I don't want it.
That'd be hilarious.
You don't have to accept the bowl invite,
Could you see Michigan just because? Well, we're Michigan. We're not doing that. I could totally see that happening. Actually.
Yeah, but I think revenue-wise, I think that's the one thing that might change their mind. I'm sure they still make a decent chunk.
Well, yeah,
of change
everything's
off of
about money nowadays.
Well, it always.
I mean,
look at
the NHL scheduling for crying out loud.
Well, speaking of scheduling, what about this Tuesday slate we had this week?
Yeah, I don't understand. Oh my God, they just scored. Christian Fisher. Wow,
Red Wings.
Nice.
Oh wow. Hey, all right, there we go.
Yeah. So it was coined as the Frozen Frenzy, and I think it sounded like it was an ESPN thing.
That's stupid.
It was an ESPN thing where every team was playing. They did staggered start times.
On a Tuesday.
Yeah, but why on a Tuesday? Also on the same night the NBA starts.
Yeah. Way to go, guys.
And
that,
then,
man,
but,
you really
but,
looked ahead on that one.
but hold on. Here's the thing. Where ESPN only had, I think they only had 2 games all night, so every other game was on local networks where it is so hard to even get a subscription to any local network nowadays.
Well, now you need 45 subscriptions to watch your favorite team play all year. I mean,
Yep.
It's ridiculous. The way the world is now, like, it's stupid. Go back to regular cable. We'll pay our $150 a month. We're still going to bitch about it, but at least it's all in one goddamn spot because at this point, you got to have Disney and Peacock and Bally Sports or now it's FanDuel now, and then YouTube TV, and then we got Thursday games on Amazon, and then ESPN and ABC and Fox. Like, this is stupid.
Oh, another goal to break it.
Oh my God, the Red Wings have scored 2
Oh,
goals.
they got 2 goals in 1 period?
Holy
Wow.
shit.
And by the way, they're almost to their shot total on Tuesday altogether already, and it's not even the end of the first
How
period.
embarrassing is that? I mean, granted,
But-
they won the game. Alex Lyon stood on his head, but 9 or 10 shots. I think it was 10 shots. I mean, that's just embarrassing. And they started this game getting outshot 11-2.
But back to
Crazy.
the scheduling.
Sorry.
Well, you got the thing of like, so I do have this FanDuel subscription. It is $20 a month
Me too.
to watch the Red Wings, but then again, and then you add in when they have games on this ESPN Plus thing or Hulu or wherever the
I
hell
also
it
have
is.
that.
And then that's a whole nother subscription in its own.
And
So
YouTube TV.
say you got one or the other, you're probably missing out on 10 games that you can't see because you don't want to pay the extra $120 for the season.
Oh, but Brett,
just to
don't
watch.
forget, your FanDuel subscription gets you the Pistons. Don't forget.
Yeah.
That's going to get you good basketball.
But I don't know. It's just
12 wins a year.
it's so
God.
if the NHL is big on like growing the game, but you got it. Let them watch the damn game.
How do you grow it if you can't see it?
Exactly, because you get.
I mean,
I'm sorry, but you're not going to. Any normal person, they're not going to get all these damn subscriptions. Luckily, I don't need subscriptions to everything, so I only got like just the basic ones where that let me allow the things I want to watch.
I cancel them when the Red Wings aren't on their off season.
Well, yeah, of
There's no
course.
reason
There's
to.
no like.
Literally no reason to.
Yeah, I don't.
But-
That's what I'm going to do.
But I just watched read something earlier that said the ratings for the NHL this season are down, just like last
wonder
year, and
why.
they're going down year after year for the last several years now. And I guarantee you that's a big part of it. I mean, just
oh, it is.
accessibility. I mean, I remember growing up in the area here, and you could catch the Red Wings game on Fox Sports Detroit,
Yes.
or you could catch it on
Versus-
Channel 7.
There's that. Do you remember UPN 50?
Yeah.
Yep.
So they were, and so those were local channels that
Yep.
whether you had the best or the worst cable, you had access to the games. And the Tigers were the same way, and you could watch your local team.
Oh, and here's the
after
thing.
that-
The rare occasion of being on national TV. So back in like the days you're talking, ESPN was around.
Yeah.
ESPN, ABC.
Mm-hmm.
But you didn't need an additional package to have those. If you had a basic cable package, those came with it.
At the time, the
And
only
it was on-
package you could buy at the time with TV was porn. So if now it's all sports and it's everything else, but it used to be cable and porn. That's what you could buy. And now it's like, if you want to watch how to grow shrubs in your driveway, okay, there's a subscription for that. And, if you want to go out and build homes in the middle of China, there's a subscription for that. And the Red Wings have their own, and the Islanders have their. It's just stupid. The world is ridiculous.
That was the thing. Like so back then, like the cable package was Fox Sports Detroit, and then they had the occasional game on UPN 50 or Channel 7, whatever.
Right.
And then back then, obviously, it was the Eisman, Fedorov, Shanahan, Lidstrom, Red Wings. So they were on ESPN quite a bit. But ESPN wasn't an additional if you had just normal cable. It wasn't an additional. It was already there. So you got to see, you damn near got to see all 82 games plus all the playoff games.
Yes.
Now,
But that's how I became a fan, dude.
exactly.
Like yourself, probably the same, right?
Yes.
Like,
it was on every single night in my house. And when the Red Wings are on, they're on the TV growing up.
I remember my uncle got my dad's brother, got my dad a NHL package one year for Christmas, right? And at the time, and don't quote me on exact numbers, but at the time it was probably $200 or $300, but it covered, 80 to 85% of all NHL games, right? And then obviously we had our local channels for the Red Wings, so we were always in tune. Anytime the Red Wings weren't on, my dad had anybody else on that could play, right? Okay, so think about that for a second. So hockey season goes from what? It goes from September, October time. So let's call it October to keep it easy. So you've got 6 to 7 months minimum. And so at $300, I mean, it's $50 a month, okay? So it seems pretty expensive, right? But you're getting a ton of hockey. Well, now people wouldn't even sniff at $50 a month because, I mean, by the time you buy all these damn subscriptions, that's where you're at anyway.
Yep.
But you had access to everything. And it was something my dad was like, this is crazy, you know? Like, I can see everything I want. And now it's stupid. It's this subscription gets you one team or one channel. And it's like, that's ridiculous. They have split cable into so much garbage that I cannot tell you that I wouldn't be a hockey player or hockey fan, but I would be less of a fan today if it was the way that it is now. Like, there's no wonder that youth sports, again, there's many reasons for it. Hockey's very expensive, but there's no wonder the participation level has dropped because they don't have as many fans because they can't watch the damn games. And the tickets are ridiculous now.
This was even just a couple years ago, prior to ESPN taking over as like the primary like carrier of the NHL. My brother and I think it was called NHL Center Ice. It was an app.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, it's the exact thing you talk about. It was $120 for the year, and you logged into the app, and it literally had every single game going on that night. You could watch any game, any feed.
Yeah,
that's for $120 for the year.
Yeah.
And that paid for itself in its own. And then ESPN comes in, and now they did away with the NHL thing, and now it's ESPN Plus. That's where all the games are. Which, yes, I'm pretty sure all the games are. I haven't tried it yet this year, but all the games are on there. But at the same time, say I'm out and about, and I can't catch the Wings because obviously I'm out doing something. But with the handy dandy phones nowadays,
record them.
You have the apps, and everything. So I got the ESPN app on my phone. I can log in ESPN Plus. But if they're showing on, now it's FanDuel, which was Bally or Fox Sports back then. It says, it's local blackout, so you can't watch it on ESPN Plus. It's like, are you kidding me?
I could see the opposite. Like, you want to black out the Rangers game? Fine. But why are you blocking out local? Like, that literally, it makes fans upset.
It makes no sense.
It doesn't.
I don't know. And it's all a money grab now. And ESPN's the forefront of it. Honestly, ESPN coverage of hockey has made it so much worse.
I'd say TV networks in general.
Well, yeah, but this has really all come about since ESPN became like the main thing for NHL coverage. Mm-hmm. And it's gotten worse.
Do you remember Saturday Night Hockey with Buchagros?
Mm-hmm.
Those were good times.
Barry Melrose.
Yep. Buchagros. And then you'd also have Hockey Night in Canada with Don Cherry,
Yep.
later that night. And those are just good times, and it's changed so much. I mean, it's like I said, it's really embarrassing, quite frankly, where the leagues and the times have gone.
The old ESPN was so much better with Gary Thorne.
Yes.
And then Steve Levy did a lot of games back then too.
Yeah, Stuart Scott.
And now you got, I don't even know who does ESPN games anymore because I muted because they're just so bad.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just
there's a lot of them. I mean,
I think there's there is TNT, but TNT only does once a week. And they do it Wednesday night.
They don't do it well.
They did it last night.
I don't
they
like
do it better than ESPN.
I don't like TNT's broadcast.
Really?
It's not okay, I don't want to say it's bad, but it's not my favorite. Like, obviously I'm really biased. Mickey and Ken just spoil the shit out of you.
Aside from local, would you take TNT or ESPN?
It depends on who's at ESPN for me.
I prefer TNT because the intermission group is much better.
That is true. The banter is much better in the intermission.
I think the broadcast crew that goes with TNT is much better.
But that's normally where I'm going to go get some chips. That's where I'm going to go take a shit. That's where I'm going to go and do all my things between the period. So, like, I mean, I guess I don't really care who's talking in the middle half the time because we've got other stuff going on. But I agree with you. When you do watch it, they do have a little bit better intermission break, if you will, banter.
It's just ridiculous. I literally have 2 subscriptions this year just to watch the damn Red Wings.
It's sad. Shouldn't be that way.
And I'm not even guaranteed to be able to watch them every night, by the way.
Well, they keep playing like they've been playing. You probably won't want to. They don't play defense right now. I don't know why. They're giving up like third or fourth highest in the league in shots, and they're near the bottom in shots shots for. And so it's just it's amazing to me that all this offseason and preparation, another year of growth from some of our regulars, obviously with the contract holdouts from Sider and Raymond and whatever, but like they've been around the system long enough. Like these guys are not necessarily progressing in the way that you would expect, especially defensively. Now Edmondson I think's been good. We just talked about Casper looks good up front. Some of the new kids are bringing some youth and some life into this team, but man, it looks like they go through the motions half the time, and the lineup combinations from Lalonde really strike me as odd sometimes. I mean, I just don't. Okay, I'm not a coach for hockey in the NHL. Neither are you, right? So at the end of the day, we really cannot speak on it 100%. However, it doesn't matter if it's youth sports, high school sports, or the pros. When you got combinations that are working, you stick with them. You ride the hot hand, and teams go on runs that way. A prime example is A.J. Hinch riding with the Tigers the last half of the season, or the last 40 games or so. That team got hot. You know why that team got hot? Because he stuck with the hot hands. You obviously had Scoob out there pitching lights out. You had Kerry Carpenter, like all the things we've talked about before. But he rode the hot hand, and he continued to tinker. He didn't completely revamp every game. And, I think doing that, you lose chemistry, and I think sometimes the players kind of lose a little bit of faith in the fact that you know what you're doing. And I wonder myself if Lalonde knows what he's doing.
Albeit they have won 2 games in a row, but they were not pretty wins at all. It wasn't games that you controlled from start to finish.
They haven't had one of those yet, even the Nashville game.
So that's my thing. Is like, yeah, you got the win, but that doesn't mean it worked.
Right.
It doesn't mean it worked.
It won't work in March, April.
No. So that's my whole thing is just, yeah, I understand of trying to ride what worked and all this and all that, but just because you get a W doesn't mean it did. And my biggest thing right now is your defense is still struggling. There was a lot of times the other night where I saw, like, they did very good along, like, keeping it along the boards and stuff, but then the puck would get out in the middle, and there's nobody there, and there's just an Islander player just going right down the middle. It's just like, where the hell is everyone?
Well, if I'm Alex Lyon, and I do feel like this on Sundays, if I'm Alex Lyon and, you're getting a 5 to 6 minute barrage, and, it happens, right? Like, it's hockey. It's going to happen, whatever. But, if I'm sitting back there, I'm like, man, okay, we get through that. I probably won't have one of those again, but, the game's going to be what it is. And then they turn around and do it again and again and again. You're like, what the hell's going on? And then you stack those games on top of more games on top of more games. And it's like, no wonder mentally you burn out at the end of the season because you're continually getting freaking smoked. 30 to 35 shots a game will exhaust a goaltender, I promise you. Especially when your team's getting 12, 15, 20 shots a game. I mean, it's very one-sided, it seems like. And again, it's, pro sports in general are definitely, a thing of runs, confidence, swagger, a mix of youth and veterans. Like, that's very common across the board, no matter what sport you're speaking of. And the Red Wings have all the pieces there. They have all the ingredients, but they do not have the right Baker. And that's just how it is. And I really hope that Yzerman puts some real pressure on him. I'm not saying he threatens him and say, figure this out or you're fired today. But, like, it might come down to some kind of version of, like, listen, I know this team's better than they've performed. It's time for you and your staff to step up or step out.
Like, this penalty kill is still horrible.
It's worse.
The power play is still not good.
Worse.
Why are we 6 games in now and this still hasn't been worked on? It's I love it. This still just kind of ties into our Michigan football talk of, like, we're 6 games in or 7 games now, but Michigan's 7 games and nothing's been fixed. What do you need to do to fix it? Why? And that poses the question of what is going on.
Mm-hmm. Do you
That'd
think
be a good title for
issue?
this podcast, by the way, is what is going on?
Do you think that this team trusts Lalonde? I mean, they can say all the right things on TV, but I'm asking, like, by play, what you see in their play, do you think that they trust the scheme and they trust what he's doing?
My whole thing is, like, I think last year, yes. I do think last year, yes, and that's what's swaying me of just, like, it's still too early to determine this year.
You think it's waning, though?
And but at the same time, like, there is quite a few different faces in this lineup as opposed to last year, and I mean, that could be a thing of theirs trying to work that out.
A little bit older guys, too, veterans.
But it's too early to tell, in my opinion. But the thought is obviously there a little bit, yes.
But
I'm not giving a definitive yes.
Sure. And again, I believe in Iserman. I do. I believe in Iserman, and I think that, if he believes in somebody, then we got to believe in him, right? And give him the full chance. From what we've seen, we've talked about this many times. From what we've seen, the combinations don't make sense. The changes don't make sense at the time he makes them, and it seems to set the team back. So they might go on a little run, couple of games, and then he changes it up, and it's like, again, ride the hot hands, quit screwing around. And I don't know. It's frustrating to watch a team that is playoff capable struggle again after they struggled last year for a while, and I personally don't know where to go from here. It's, again, same as Michigan football. I don't know where to go from here other than play spoiler. It's interesting. I don't know. I don't know what to say.
It's kind of like they're kind of both in the same boat of where they've come out every game so far and they look uninspired. They look like unprepared.
Lazy.
It's like the Red Wings have looked like that, in my personal opinion, in the first 6 games. The Michigans looked like that in the first 7 games.
All year.
So
do you see the same energy on the sidelines, Michigan football, that I don't?
No.
I remember last year they'd be going up to the stands and they're like, "Listen, guys, like, come on, hype it up." But
they don't have that. They don't have the swagger.
They don't have the swagger. They don't have the leadership. They're beaten down. You can tell they're walking with their heads hung low. And
bet you, they probably read everything online, and like
the
keyboard warriors like us
are
just flaming the shit out of them.
Jerome Moore said he deleted his social media, probably for good reason. And again, I'm not here to put a harp, on Jerome Moore specifically. Again, these are some of his problems, no doubt about it, especially the unpreparedness. I mean, Wink Martindale's been around football for 30 years. No reason your defense should be unprepared. I'm sorry. And they are. They look unprepared and uninspired. And special teams has been a disaster this year, like a freaking train wreck. And again, if it was one position or one side of the ball, you could probably say, man, that coach didn't work out. But it's all of it.
Yeah, it's every facet of the game that just there's no good side to the game. The only good side to their game right now, I would say, is the running game. But even then, at this point, everyone's, realizing it. It's not hard to realize that they have nothing else going for them. So
load the box.
It's an easy thing to defend.
They abandoned the run the last couple of weeks, and
because they think they're going to catch them off guard.
You're not going to catch anybody off guard.
But exactly.
You're off guard. You caught yourself off guard because you're not a freaking 30 pass attempts a game team. It's unbelievable. They probably were thinking like, oh, we're going to catch them off guard because we're going to throw the ball. It's just
for one,
here we go.
For one, you got to have good routes to catch said ball.
And you got to put the damn ball in the right spot. Another important part of the game. Stop running the football with one arm, Tuttle. Stop that shit. What are you doing?
Quit trying to throw to Loveland every damn time.
Oh, I don't doubt that he's a beast, but teams have double-teamed and triple-teamed him because they know nobody else catches the ball right now. Michigan receivers have less than 300 total reception yards for the season. We have gone through 7 games. It's embarrassing.
It's literally statistically the worst offensive team in football.
Do you think Kurt Campbell is here next season?
No.
I hope not.
And there should, if this trend continues, there's no way you bring a coordinator back after literally putting the worst offense on the field in all of college football.
And it's not like you're Mott Community College, right? Like you're not in a land of, you're not a boy amongst men, right? Like that's not what's happening here. It's not like David versus Goliath. It is, you are the Michigan Wolverines, right? Like
defending national champions.
Defending national champions and
defending 3-time Big Ten champions,
and you look like you shouldn't be. Shouldn't be in the Mountain West. Like
lost
it's embarrassing.
3 games in the last 3 years, and you've lost 3 games in the first 7 games of the season.
Now, again, we expected this a little bit, right? Like again, I'm willing to write off this season to a degree. However, for me, 0 chance that Campbell's back, and I don't see why Wink would be back. And Wink didn't show anything with the Giants the last couple of seasons. His schemes and tactics have not paid off. And, how many times can you look around college football? I got a prime example for you, and I bet you can guess this coach here in a second. Had been with the program for about 5 years, okay? He completely had a contract adjustment. He then revamped the coaching staff, went younger, more analytically driven, more player-friendly, and all of a sudden, the team started to do better. Can you name that coach?
Connor Stallions.
Oh, damn. No, I was going to say Evan from Illinois. It's Jim Harbaugh. And again, success, he's had success at all levels. I mean, you could argue what degree, but Michigan wasn't a bad team. They were definitely not as bad as they are now. And yet he still felt like, look, our goals aren't being met. We're not beating Michigan State. We're not beating Ohio State. We're not, and when we are playing those games, not like they're close. We're not looking good. We lose by 30 to Ohio State.
We're not competing with just like the other good teams. We'll beat up on the little teams, but we're not competing with the good
Exactly.
teams.
And so he said we got to do something. And the very next season, he got rid of Don Brown and got Mike McDonald. That defense completely changed, and they didn't look back. And that goes to show you that just to change a coordinator can change the entire team. But what scares me is this team loses 80% of its good defensive players after this season. So it's like you wasted a chance to do something special with this team by sticking with them.
You're wasting 5 first-round draft picks on your team.
Now, I will say, Michigan recruiting is picking up a little bit. They signed Andrew Balboa, gave him a verbal commit. He's a 5-star
Rocky
offensive.
Balboa?
No, that would be cool, though. He's a 5-star offensive tackle commit.
You mean to tell me that's not real?
And that's a really big get for Michigan, especially at this stage. A big thing for him, he picked between Stanford and Michigan, and a big thing for him was academics.
He's an academic guy.
He was an academic guy and a place that he had a chance to win, and really Michigan out of the 2 places offered him a better chance of that, even considering this year's team. But I think it's important to note that he did revamp the recruiting department. There's no doubt about it. He added a ton of staff in that department in the offseason. The NIL for this program in general is much better than it was last year, but we don't have the nostalgia of having the success, the Harbaugh, the all of that to go with it, right? So now Moore has to build that back up to match, and I think that when that happens, this recruiting is really going to take off. But right now, they're 4th in the Big Ten. I want to say they're 13th or 14th in the country. Again, good, not great. But you keep signing 4- and 5-star players, and again, there's talent on the roster. You have to show that you can develop.
So my thing is, you're talking about recruiting. What do you think of this Bryce Underwood rumor?
I don't like it.
I don't think it's real.
Well, I'm going to tell you right now, where there's smoke, there's fire. But let me tell you this. Bryce Underwood may be a freak athlete, may be just phenomenal. Very possible, right? He could go out and light it up for LSU or whoever. However, the problem that I have is he didn't pick Michigan for a reason, because we're not a passing school. Okay, so one of 2 things is going to happen. He's either going to come here strictly for the money. He's not going to give a shit when he gets here. Okay? Or Michigan's going to try to cater to a passing offense, which in the 100+ years they've been in existence, they've never been a passing team. The last time we tried to do that worked out pretty damn well with Rich Rod, eh? So, it's, again, I'm not here to knock on Bryce. I've actually watched Bryce play a few times for Belleville, and he's a great, great quarterback. He really is. That's high school. How many times have you saw great high school players not do the greatest in college? It's still possible. And you're going to offer him $3-4 million out of the gate? I don't love it. But more importantly, you have Jaden Davis on the bench. Absolute lights-out passer from what we could tell, right? And again, that's high school. We haven't seen him in college. And then you've got Carter Smith, who is in this recruiting class coming up. He looks like a stud. He's been moving up the rankings since he's committed. You got Brady Hart in 26. So the quarterback position is quite solid at Michigan. And I fear that if you take a guy like Bryce Underwood, you may jeopardize that. And 1 or 2 of those guys may end up decommitting because they look at it and they go, look, they're giving Bryce $3 to $4 million. I'm not going to see the field. And that's real. That's the world we're in. And I would look for more of that stability where each of those guys comes in and knows that they're going to have to sit a year, but they know they got a chance sophomore or junior year, right? So you're going to get 2 to 3 years out of each starter along the way. That's sustainability. That's, as we've saw many a times, right? Like good quarterback play can make or break a team. We have had no quarterback play, so our team's broken. So I don't know. I think it really messes the culture up, man.
Yeah, I haven't really read much up on it, but I keep like seeing the rumor of like, oh, they're pushing hard on him, pushing and all this and all that. But it's like you already got a quarterback in your system currently that still isn't playing for some apparent reason. That makes me nervous.
Yeah, but Moore hinted that he may possibly take the field this season without saying it directly.
I don't.
He can redshirt and play
he
four
can play
games.
less than 4 games.
Less than 4 games.
Yes. And then the Brady Hart and all that. So I don't really know.
The position looks good, though. I mean, if these guys actually stay committed, which in today's world is anybody's guess, but like if these guys stay committed, the Michigan quarterback room is actually in better shape than I can remember it's been in a while. With just like if you're going by star rankings and star power, when's the last time you can remember Michigan having a 4 or 5-star quarterback coming in 3 consecutive years? I don't ever remember that. Jim Harbaugh never did that.
I don't even think Lloyd Carr did that.
Correct. So it's like I do. That's what my problem is I have that reservation in my mind. It's like I have to. Sharon Moore is a young coach. Okay, so I do believe that he probably connects better with the players. Harbaugh connected with the players because he's a weirdo. At the same time, they loved that quirkiness, but like he had a ton of credibility, and so they connected differently. But I do believe Sharon Moore is a young coach. He's probably more into analytics than Harbaugh ever was. And again, with the revamping of the NIL and recruiting department, I do think it's possible that he can fix this quickly. But damn it, get rid of your coordinators. They're not doing shit.
Yeah,
they're not doing shit, and it's time to change.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
It's getting very frustrating.
Yeah.
Didn't really have the highest hopes of this season, but
I
was definitely riding the fact of like the last 3 years were great, and who's this? Like we got obviously Sharon Moore. He showed good, and when he was in the seat last year, and
yeah.
So I definitely thought it was going to be a hell of a lot better than what it was. So I am severely disappointed. But that's on me of getting my hopes up.
Yes, it is. But I think all Michigan fans feel the same way, dude.
I think so. I would think so for sure.
And I know the team hears the noise. I know they do.
They have to.
They have to. And it's again, it's easy for us to sit here and say, oh, they should do this and should do that and should do this. And again, we're not pro athletes, right? Not college athletes. Like it's understandable to have some reservations on that. But all I'm saying is I'm not expecting Michigan to be a top 10 offense ever, but I do expect to be better than 129 or 128.
Yeah,
and
agreed.
I'm thinking top 50 offense. I don't think that's unrealistic.
If you have top 50, you beat Washington,
you beat Illinois,
and you look a hell of a lot better against Texas.
Yeah, and even if you lose Texas game, they had a chance to lose to Texas and then a combination of either Oregon or Ohio State and still make the playoff.
Mm-hmm.
And they blew that with a loss to Illinois. Who I will say, though, it looks much better. The Indiana game looks scary. They're going to get mollywopped.
Oh, yeah. Indiana's in the shoe this weekend, aren't they?
That's where game day is going to be.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a very, very good game.
What would happen if Indiana beat Ohio State? And look at that point, Michigan and Ohio State would be tied in the Big Ten. Can you believe that? With an Indiana win this weekend.
Do you realize how much the Michigan fans are going to take that and run and talk shit to Buckeye fans?
No, and even better yet, think about this. If Michigan were to beat Michigan State this weekend and Ohio State somehow found a way to lose to Indiana, Michigan would actually be ahead of Ohio State in the Big Ten. That would scare the life out of me. Now, granted, it will not end that way. By the time they're done with the Oregon and Indiana and Ohio State, Michigan will be at the bottom.
Quick.
But how about another thing I want to shift to real quick? We talked about this. What about the work that Dusty May's putting in on Michigan basketball side?
I'm getting pretty excited. They did have that little scrimmage against Oakland at LCA last week.
Yep, looked sharp though.
So
I mean, they were up
it's
by
definitely,
50.
But that's the thing. That's just the culture change because you saw the Juwan Howard culture definitely got stale.
Well, it's because he tried to fight every coach on the
sideline.
There's
that, but you could tell it's just one of those times where it's time for a change.
New Jersey scores.
Another shorthanded.
You know what? If you remember, though, the last couple of years, though, Juwan Howard's team in the non-conference beginning of the season game, which were supposed to be your tune-up games, Michigan struggled. Mm-hmm. There was games where they were way too close for comfort several times.
They even lost a couple, I think.
Yeah, and it's like, okay, you go out and have one of those games in your couple of years, then fine. Like, that shit happens. They're college kids, whatever. Maybe they stayed out late the night before. But, like, multiple seasons, it looks like at the end of the day, it ends up being a lack of preparedness, and it falls on the coaching staff. And again, Juwan Howard lost the room.
I think a lot of those are just basketball's a lot of ego.
Yeah.
So I think they just look at, we're just much better than you, so we don't even have to try to beat you. And then you get these small schools that do come into these games that, no, they're going to try their ass off.
Well, and they
catch a team unprepared.
And another thing, too, is like Juwan could recruit to an extent. Academics hurt some of his players that he recruited, I will say. Like
Yes.
Caleb Love was a problem. There was a couple of them I can't remember offhand, but I know there's a few of them that we had some trouble with. But he could recruit him because of his NBA pedigree, but he couldn't develop him. And a lot of guys left after one season. Freshman year, Kobe Buffkin left. He went to Arizona State, and Caleb Houston went to the draft, which is a silly decision. Hunter Dickinson transferred out, and
He's on his 7th year in
and
Kansas.
and again, like, yeah, if the band stays together a year or two, they probably developed into a better squad, and whatever. Maybe it changed the tune on his coaching tenure, but Dusty May comes in with a ton of energy. You can tell recruiting is very important to him. That was a lot of the questions that he asked in the interview, was that, like, Michigan is known to not have a ton of NIL money, and he wanted to know what that was about right away and how to fix it. He reeled in a couple of big recruits this past week and a half, 2 weeks, couple of 4-star players. He's working on 5-star guard Trey McKinney from Michigan, from Flint. And
it's crystal ball to Michigan.
He is crystal
what
ball
I just
to
read
Michigan.
before
Like,
we got on.
That's amazing, right? And to go out and have 3 freshmen in your freshman class that, are 4 and 5 stars, I mean, all top 100 recruits, like, that's how you build a program. And I think Dusty is really like one of those perfect fit for Michigan guys. He's right in the right like age range. Again, he's not too old, not too young. He has respect from what he's done at other stops. And he's proven that he can coach and he can relate. And he doesn't fight other coaches. So that to me is already a big win. But we still have Ward Manuel.
It's just Juwan's tenure. Like, I think it was already because of the whole Fab Five thing. So I think his name just tied to Michigan basketball always had a little meh to it. And then the way he ended with Michigan, I mean, I think it just added to his overall legacy there. It's just always been a little hasty. So, but I'm excited to see what Dusty May can do. I definitely do see a lot of optimism around it.
Well,
so
yeah, and
I want to see, because for a while there, Michigan basketball was up there as like a top team every year. There were top 10 team damn near every year, and they would get a high seed in the tournament. They would always win a couple games in the tournament.
Sure.
So I would love to see it back to that. And
do something.
I miss John Beeline.
Yep.
But so I do have something here that I just whipped up as you were talking. It was last week when we had a guest on, and he says they do a lot of snake drafts. So I just thought of one that you and I could do.
Okay.
So we're going to do a snake draft of the championship teams from our local pedigree. So we got the 08, 02, 98, 97 Red Wings, 89, 90, 04 Pistons, 68 and 84 Tigers, and then 97 and 23 Michigan football. So those are our options.
Okay, so we're going by like best.
Yeah.
Second best,
So
third
you
best.
just choose your draft, just like how we did last week with the Michigan football players.
Yeah, I struggle with that because I didn't really understand how it worked.
So
Who's got number 1 overall pick this draft?
let's see. Do you have a coin on you?
No.
Oh. Let me see that pen.
Are you gonna flip a pen, folks?
Yes.
Like this is what we're gonna do.
Yes.
We have a pen. We want to flip. Let's see what you got. Oh, what side do you call? Oh, the round side. Oh man, that must be mine.
And it's right at me.
Must be mine.
Home court advantage.
That's ridiculous.
I'm going 0-2 Wings. First pick.
I'm glad you did that. I'm going to go with last year's national championship Michigan team, most dominant team in college football.
You talking about the best hockey team ever assembled?
I agree. I'm not disagreeing that they were a good hockey team. I'm just saying, for the purpose of this draft, who you got? Second overall pick on your side.
I'm between two.
What?
I'm between two. Let me see.
What's the options left? What do we got?
02, 98, and 97 Wings, 89, 90, 04 Pistons, 68 and 84 Tigers, and then 1997 Michigan football. I think I am going to go 97 Michigan football.
Okay. I'm going to go 04 Pistons.
That was who I was debating.
Eat it.
That's who I was debating, man. Damn.
Yeah, it's a good one. The going to work.
You have to go into work Pistons.
It was a good group, man.
That was.
They just the right combination of attitudes and
Literally
and stuff. Like, it was a good blend.
Outworked your ass.
They really
outworked
did.
your ass.
And if they didn't, Rashid would just go up and elbow you in the face and take a tech, and then be like, "I don't know why I got a tech." Because you elbowed him in the face, Sheed. So
Yeah.
he was in my face.
89 Pistons.
That's your third one.
Bad Boys. The
I'm gonna go
original
with
Bad Boys.
84 Tigers for me.
84 Tigs.
Yeah. We'll post this up on our site and let you guys vote and see who had the better draft. I think that I did pretty good this time.
Well, we still got a couple more here.
No, we don't.
Yeah, we do.
That's not what the rules said, Brett. I don't.
What do you mean?
Quit changing the rules.
We still got 5
But you have
choices here.
3 numbers on here.
Well,
So it was top 3.
We'll have to get a wild card.
Well, what's the wild card rules?
I don't know. Think of others championship teams. We can even bring in like Big Ten championships. We could bring in like President's Trophy. We could bring in the 06 Pistons that won like 60-something games.
We could do that. We could do that.
But of the so we left a couple off so we could do one more each, and then we could get into honorable mentions. How about that?
One more each and one honorable mention.
Yes, of course.
Fair enough.
So, options are 08, 90, 98, 97 Wings, 90 Pistons, 68 Tigers. I'm going 97 Wings.
Of course you are.
After 42 years.
I'll go 08 Red Wings. It was a good team.
Mm-hmm.
End of an era.
That
To me.
I also thought of we could do like the best like runner-up teams that we had, because obviously the Pistons had a couple runner-ups in the early 90s. They had one in the mid-2000s. The Red Wings had 95 and 09.
The Lions had last year.
The Lions had last year, technically. The Tigers in 06 and 12. Michigan football had those runs in the playoff the last couple of years.
Yep. But now it's turning into a list of 12.
No, this would have been different.
Okay.
This would have been different. So your honorable mention. So you got a couple options here. Actually, it's my turn.
You just went first last time.
Oh, you. Oh, fine.
I'm just saying, if we're going to have rules, we should follow them. You know what I'm saying? Quit changing
Honestly,
them all the damn time.
there wasn't even rules set for this. It
It seems like there's a lot of rules for this game.
On a
I'm
whim.
trying to learn as an amateur, and it's really hard when the rules change all the time.
Yeah.
Feels like we're on a switchboard here. So, okay, let's see. What team do we want to go with?
As far as championship teams, I mean, we could go all the way back to the Lions when they won.
No.
You could go back. I think the Michigan State won the 66 national championship or something like that.
Right or not. I'm going to go.
So you can eat. I forgot about one. The 2000 Michigan State basketball team. I did forget about them.
Yeah, well, I forget about them because they're green. I'm thinking, I think it was 2 years ago, right? So when they had all the first-round draft picks in Michigan hockey. Was it 2 years ago? Owen Power.
Oh, so you're going to even a team that didn't win the championship?
Yes, but they, to me, was a team that should have won the championship. They were that good.
I think that was
3 years ago. 3 years ago,
21 or something like that.
Okay, so that team.
Look that up. Fact check that. What year was that?
I think it was 3 years ago. So, but that team to me was so talented. They ran into an even better team, quite frankly.
I'm going 90s Pistons for my honorable mention. 1990 Pistons. I mean, you also had the 1989 Michigan basketball team. Did forget to mention that one, but that one just came to mind. That one. So that was Steve Fisher when he took over before the season started.
So Power was drafted in 21 draft. So
did he go right? I don't think he went right to Buffalo though. So I think it was the 21-22 season.
Yeah.
Was that team?
Yes. Yeah, and they were just dominant, man. Like absolutely dominant. And, when you look at the athletes that have come through on Michigan hockey, there's quite a list. I mean, Dylan Larkin, obviously.
So they were 31-10.
Yes.
Matty Beniers. Here's a few NHL names on there. Matty Beniers, Brendan Brisson, Luke Hughes. Below, I think, is in AHL. Kent Johnson, Owen Power. Nick Blankenberg is in the AHL for, I think, Columbus.
Yeah.
See,
Loaded team.
Johnny Beecher, I think, is in the Boston system.
Yeah.
Let's see, who else is there?
Very loaded roster, I think.
How far did they make it that year? I think they made the Frozen Four.
Frozen Four, yeah.
I think. So that's the team you're going with, though? As your honorable mention?
That's my honorable mention.
No, you're really reaching.
Why? What's wrong with that team?
Did you even win?
Well, that's all right.
Not wrong. But, yeah, so we could dabble into Michigan hockey a little bit if you want to. So they lost to Denver 3-2 in the Frozen Four, and Denver did go on to win that year. So there's that. Let's see. There was a last year they had a really good team that made the Frozen Four as well, and I think in 23 they also had a really good team as well. Because it's just they've been a Frozen Four mainstay for years now.
Well, they've recruited really well, even in spite of the coaching change and stuff in the last couple of years, but they've had a lot of success too, and that obviously brings future recruits and stuff that want to get in the league. But when you look at the guys that, I mean, for Red Wings got several Michigan players, for example, on their team, and again, that's just one team of many. But yeah, I mean, and it's not like these guys go into the league and suck. They're not like Ohio State quarterbacks. They they go into the league and do well, and so it's just to me, it speaks to the development of the program, and they see that. They do. I mean, they see that, and they know that, if you want to go somewhere that, you can star and maybe get recognized, you could go elsewhere. But if you're going to go on a team, and you might sit the first year or two behind some of the other players, but you're going to get a shot at some big games, and you're going to have constant looks at the NHL, Michigan's the place to be.
Did you know? This is a little unfortunate, but the 2020 Frozen Four was supposed to be in Detroit, but obviously got canceled because of COVID. That sucks. I forgot about that. But a quick trivia question for you. You can ballpark it. Getting the actual number might be tough.
Uh-huh.
How many Frozen Fours has Michigan hockey made?
Mm-hmm. 15.
You are off. That's not even close in the ballpark.
I don't know. I really don't have any idea. When did they start keeping track?
I don't entirely know, but they have made the Frozen Four 28 times.
Jesus, that's way more than I thought. And I knew they've done it a lot.
And they've made it the last 3 years.
Yeah.
So.
That's really impressive.
Mm-hmm.
But that just goes to show, like I said, dude, like they put guys in the league and the guys notice that.
Yes.
So.
It's at least that's like kind of, Michigan's kind of like the Alabama, Georgia of college hockey.
They are. And rightfully so. Now.
So they lose so many players to the draft every year. But then they just reload.
Yeah.
Like, they don't miss a step. So.
Now, I'm going to ask you, because I have to, what is your score prediction for this weekend, Michigan State? And who wins the game? Honestly.
To be honest, do you remember the 2017, downpour game?
Mm-hmm.
I see that kind of score coming. So I think that was 14-10 Michigan State.
Yeah, I was going to go something like 17-10.
Yeah.
I
think something around there. I
think Michigan has a good chance to win the game if they play decently, but I don't know if they're going to.
I can't give a winner. I really can't.
So
because
are you going to call it a draw?
I wish I could. So I don't know. It's just, the thing is, I at this point in the season, I don't have confidence in Michigan football at all. No matter who they're playing.
They've given you that.
They've come out so uninspired in all these games. What makes you think they're going to come out inspired to play against Michigan State? When it's shown in years, even when they're heavily, heavily favorites, they don't.
Well, it's always
they still come out
game.
uninspired.
Yeah, it's a closer game than just because of the rivalry game. But if you can't get up for a Michigan State or Ohio State game, I'm sorry, but you're uninspired.
So that's where, if you can't get these kids fired up, for this game, then I don't know what to tell you. So
now, do you think do you think they're going to come out in the tunnel at the same time?
God, we're not going down that road.
Are you sure? Should we make sure they don't have any helmets back?
But at the same time, I don't really think. I think Michigan State and Michigan are kind of at the similar level as far as where their program is at,
but trending in different directions.
But exactly, I hate to say it, Michigan State is definitely trending in a much more positive
except for
direction.
Recruiting. Michigan State's right now outside the top 50 and nationally in recruiting.
They always are, though.
But Jonathan Smith is a good coach.
Exactly, and that's the thing. Michigan State always is. They've never been one of those schools that goes out and gets a top 25 recruiting class.
Yeah.
They make their name known as far as getting the 2 stars and the 3 stars. And D'Antonio was damn good at putting those players in the right situations for success. So
it's like Beeline with Michigan basketball. He was taking 3- and 4-star guys and making them superstars. So it's the same thing.
So
development.
I definitely do think Michigan State's trending in a much more positive direction than Michigan.
But like I said, Michigan recruiting might change that. Obviously, just because being better, you're going to have better talent, better players, and they might have a chance to flip it around. Michigan
you better
State,
be able to do something with it. I mean, you look to see what Michigan's doing with all the talent they have on the field right now, and they can't do shit.
Yeah.
They've made Will Johnson look pedestrian. They made
but he's
Donovan
hurt.
Edwards
He's hurt. I know
look
he is.
horrible.
I think Will's hurt more than he lets people
And
realize.
Yeah, it's just.
I think Colson Loveland's the same way. I really do.
I think it's going to be a very low-scoring affair. I think that 39.5, I would smash the under.
Yeah, for sure. 7 turnovers. That's what I predicted between the two teams. You think it's unrealistic?
No.
Michigan might have 5 of them.
Especially if they try throwing the damn ball.
Or if Tuttle tries to run with one arm
Yep.
again.
So, who knows? Who knows? Who knows?
But we'll be there, folks. Come
we'll
see
be
us.
down there. I won't be in the game. Luckily, I'll be watching it on my way home.
Yeah.
So
Got to
I'm
take
thrilled
my
about
son in
that.
that one. He's a State fan, so if they win, I'm going to leave him there.
Yeah, just let him go hit some frat parties so you can get a
Good taste of college as a sophomore in high
Yep.
school. Perfect. Yeah, it's a
There you
good
go.
thing. It's good parenting on my end.
Yep. Yeah,
For
Cass
sure.
would love you.
I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure of that. Yep. But you know what? If he talks enough shit, she might not disagree. So, yeah, anyways, guys, appreciate you tuning in. Obviously, we'll follow up with you guys next week for our normal show. And hopefully it is not a loss to Michigan State. But, if it is, I don't think either one of us is going to be that surprised. So
No.
let's hope that it's after a win, and maybe we can say we're at least 5-3 and stay above 500. But, hey, anything can happen. But I'm Brett with 1 T. I'm signing off, and this is my co-host, Brett with 2 T's.
Yep. Yeah, you all have a great weekend. We do have a guest coming on. He is a Packers fan next week. We'll be discussing Lions-Packers preview next week with a Packers fan. So,
yeah, I mean, and I'm hoping that it's after we have won.
but yeah, you all have a great week. We will talk to you next week.
See ya.